Stetson University.
Greetings, I'm Amber Janey, class of 2008.
And I'm Will Phillips, class of 2005.
We both work in the Meadows Alumni House located on campus. It is our office's job to build the gap between Stetson's student body and our vast alumni network.
Each new class at Stetson becomes part of 125 years of grand history and traditions, and that is what we'd like to share with you today. The university was founded as the DeLand Academy in 1883 by New York entrepreneur Henry Addison DeLand, just 7 years after he founded the city of DeLand. The first class had 13 students, and in the 1880s, you could educate your child from first grade through college without leaving campus. In 1889, the school was renamed Stetson University in honor of the nationally known hat manufacturer and longtime trustee, John B. Stetson.
Many campus buildings date back to that historic era. DeLand Hall, now home to the office of the president, was once the School of Music, and the library and the chapel all at the same time. Built in 1884, the building is the oldest building in continuous use for education in the entire state of Florida, and it has the ghost to prove it.
Ghost stories are fun campus legends and traditions, from the unidentified footsteps heard in DeLand Hall to the inexplicable smell of pipe smoke in the Meadows Alumni House. Students have been known to shut themselves into Elizabeth Hall to spend the night ghost hunting. Elizabeth Hall was built in 1892, and it has plenty of history and ghostly hangers-on. Students at Stover Theater invite the ghost of Dr. Irving Stover to their opening night performances. He was a professor here for 55 years and likes to hang around. Dr. Lincoln Hulley, Stetson's second president from 1904 to 1934, and his wife Eloise Hulley didn't want to leave either. The base of Hulley Tower, a longtime campus landmark, is the eternal resting place of the Hulleys and their dog.
Stetson Hall, the second oldest building on campus, was built as a res hall in 1886. But the university president and his family lived on the first floor. Imagine that in today's world. Faculty lived in the building too. Go figure. It's not like undergrads were wild in those days and needed supervision. A century ago, students had so many rules to follow, we're surprised they had time to study, let alone do anything else. They had rules like being in bed quiet with lights out by 9:30 each night unless they had special permission to stay up late. Waking to the sound of a rising bell that rang on campus each morning at 6 a.m., except on Sundays, when students got to sleep late until 7 a.m. Attending mandatory study hour 4 times a day. The first one started at 7:15 a.m. and going to chapel services every day.
Men and women undergrads weren't allowed to hang out in each other's rooms. They couldn't date, or we mean court, without a chaperone present. They couldn't even go downtown on the same days, except on special occasions like the annual homecoming parade. After Shadow and Hall was built as a women's res hall in 1892, campus life really started to swing, and afternoons R&R in Shadow included piano playing and reading. Where happy times change. Did you know Stetson used to have a football team? We even beat the University of Florida. It's true, we beat UF in 1938 and Florida State in 1947. We know all good things must come to an end, though. Stetson played its last football game against the University of Havana. The game was in Key West in 1956.
By that time, Stetson's law school had relocated to the Gulf Coast, but it started right on the DeLand campus. Stetson College of Law was the first law school in Florida. It was over in Flagler Hall, which was built in 1902. Henry Flagler, yes, the Henry Flagler, funded the building's construction, but he didn't want anybody to know. We couldn't call it Flagler Hall until after he died. Andrew Carnegie gave us money to help build Stetson Hall. It was the library for a while. When the DuPont Ball Library was built in the 1960s, everybody on campus helped move the books from one building to the other. Even the university president helped.
We could go on and on. There's so much history here. Like members of the Star Unit, a special training Army Reserve unit, lived in Conrad Hall during World War II.
And Stetson was green before green was a buzzword. In 1980, the entire university turned off power for 5.5 hours. Everybody sat around and talked about how we could save more energy. Students planted trees for Earth Days, back in the dark ages of the 1970s.
At their heart, all Stetson history and traditions are about the same thing. Students, faculty, alumni, and staff coming together to celebrate what's great about Stetson. History and traditions are the glue that holds the Stetson experience together for all of us. Come join us in celebrating 125 years of traditions and transformations at Stetson University.
Stetson University.